what if I suddenly suggested that you must just get adjusted for a mind shift? Because this poem will challenge you to change your mindset about what you think religion is all about. And if you may, you can just sit back and enjoy as I shout. But by the time I'm done, all misconceptions will be wiped out. I want you to know the truth beyond the shadow of doubt. The world is thirsty, the world is in drought. But when you give them water, they call it insult. What an insult. I'll tell you the truth just as it is. You can reject it, but you cannot avoid it. You can hate it, but you cannot terminate it. You can edit it, but you cannot delete it. You can close it, but you cannot really pause it. It will still be playing in the background. You do not necessarily have to be around. Because truth is truth regardless of your opinion. So tell me truth is relative as if you and truth are relatives. When 90% of what you know is what you take from the TV interviews and the famous fake news, how about I give you the good news instead? And now that I'm ready for this piece, I wish there was a cinematographer to record this. But first on my list, I get a specialist to assist at list. In the midst of mist, they miss the gist of what it means to exist. So this is a swift gift to those who insist that God does not exist. To those guys that despise God's love in their eyes, they think religion is just lies. I want you to open your eyes before it's too late to apologize. I want you to recognize something just as true. See, God does not believe in atheists too. And even when you take out the rhyme, really this stands true. You gotta wake up from your dead deja vu, recognize there's a God in heaven and that He loves you. Do you say hell no? This poem says heaven yes. Statistics testify that people who believe in God have less stress. But also let me stress a point. It's not about believing in any God, I must confess, and I'll get to that in the later part. But now before I finish, let me start to break this thing apart. God does not believe that you can believe in unbelief and live. And it doesn't matter how much you think you can achieve. Success without God is the best way to fail, because all your excess success is an excellent access to hell, or you end up in jail. See, saying there's no G-O-D is like saying you didn't have a D-A-D. That's just A-B-S-U-R-D, and that qualifies you for M-A-D. And it doesn't matter if you have M-D or Ph-D, that won't mean a hill of beans when the University of Life gives you a D-E-A-D. Dead. In fact, I suppose you have a special ADHD, attention deficit disorder. You can't concentrate on the order in the universe, which shows intelligent design. You only focus on the evolution, which is why your office I resign. You test God in a test tube, but He's busy holding the tube together. He wants to change your heart, but you're interested in only changing the weather. You want to experiment, but God wants to give you experience. You want facts, He gives faith. It's not about chemicals, you see. It's about miracles, and they happen every day all around you. The very fact that you're still alive after that drive. No, tell me, who woke you up this morning? Your alarm clock dead? Well, then take you to the funeral house. In Him we live and move and have our whole being. In Him all things consist. Do you get that, Mr. Scientist? See, trying to understand God by science is really ignorance. It's like trying to prove your Father exists by His toolbox. Why don't you believe that He is there? Because you can feel the wind even though you can't see the air. The earth is traveling at a speed of 10,000 kilometers per hour and nobody is in charge? Is this what you're really teaching us? Maybe that's why we have more crime in our school blocks, because you took God out of the textbooks. And you might say that God doesn't exist, but you know what? He actually says you are extinct, because this God is a consuming fire and this lion can devour, which is why the Bible calls atheists fools, together with anyone who think they can make their own rules. I mean, how can you study the galaxious universe, for Pete's sake, the human race, and still can't trace God's grace? It's an amazing disgrace, but I rest my case. Now, the most hopeless case are those who believe God exists but live their lives like He doesn't. Their religion is just accident. And okay, God exists. We've just established that. But does he exist in your heart? Because when he created you for no other purpose other than that. If your God is all loving, why do you hate? If your God is all gracious, why are you so malicious? If your God is holy, why are you so worldly? If your God is all powerful, why are you so weak? You say your God is all knowing, then why are you ignorant? And if your God is all present, why are you so fearful? And so this poem is not just for the scientists. No, you can even be high priest, deeply religious, but if you do not believe in Jesus, you're equally atheist, because he is the first and the rest is just counterfeit. Now, that's kind of uncomfortable, which is why most people detest the Bible, but it's the only book that's really reliable, and for your own information, everything it says is verifiable. And I know it's controversial, but this is undebatable, because Jesus is unstoppable and whatever he says is irreversible. And in case you think the Bible is just a fable, then let me lay quickly everything on the table. See, history confirms the Bible, and if you think all historians are Christians, then archaeology proves Bible theology. Jesus knows the past, present, and future at the same time. Why don't you read the Bible prophecy for yourself and see? And if you think all this doesn't make sense yet, then let me give you the finest evidence. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God, the greatest being, saw the greatest intensity, loved the greatest feeling, the greatest definition or definitive, world, the greatest population, that the greatest result. He, the greatest Father, gave the greatest generosity. He's the greatest possession, only the greatest exclusiveness, begotten, the greatest mystery, Son, the greatest gift, that the greatest opportunity or causality or effect, whosoever the greatest choice believes, the greatest achievement in, the greatest internality, him, the greatest God, should the greatest chance, not the greatest reversal, perish, the greatest punishment, but the greatest exemption, have the greatest possession, again, everlasting, the longest period, life, the greatest thing. And so because of the greatest motive of the greatest being, with the greatest intensity of the greatest feeling, the greatest definition was placed on the greatest population as the greatest result of the greatest Father's greatest generosity, of his greatest possession, of the greatest exclusiveness, who came about by the greatest mystery to be the greatest gift and give men the greatest opportunity to make the greatest choice of the greatest achievement in the greatest interior of the greatest God, to find the greatest chance of the greatest reversal of the greatest punishment, for the greatest exemption to the greatest possession of the greatest period of life everlasting. Jesus does not believe that you do not want that.